Brent here with BYOTools. On today's episode is our final wrap-up of our garage makeover series with nothing better than the Dust Collection system from Rockler. So if you want to learn how we completely transformed and made this crazy dust collection system in my garage, keep on watching. Let's get started. Now this is our 1250 CFM Dust Collection system. This is the heart and soul of this system, along with filtration unit. Now this thing is a bit hefty, so make sure you have a helpful friend around or a garage hoist to help you out. Let's get it installed. Removing this from the bag from the very get-go, you can truly see the quality and the build of this machine. Now it comes with a few different things. Number one is going to be the bag itself. Two, there's actually these rubber gaskets that are going on the back side to reduce vibration, as well as a T-connection, a ring, fasteners, some foam tape, and of course a remote control. Now that's going to be handy. Now as for mounting the suction beast, the number one priority is making sure you're hitting proper studs, or at least some proper backing. Now with my wall, I actually have OSB as well as backing behind the wall, so therefore this is a perfect area where I can actually install and make sure that there's going to be no issues with proper support. Now the nice thing about this Dust mounting system is that the holes are in very simplistic locations, as well as proper stud placement if you're in the US area. Now it's 16 inches on center, as well as a 12-inch difference between the top and the bottom rung. Now you also want to account for the proper height, because I do have to take into account the filter that I'm going to be adding plus the bag that goes underneath it. Just know those top set screws are set at 72 inches from the floor. I pre-drill my holes, I fasten all 4 screws down. However, I do leave about an inch of thread showing so I can put my gaskets on, as well as fit the unit itself onto the screws and then set them in place. Now I did install this by myself just because I was by myself this day, but I do wish I had a second hand to help me, because this thing is definitely solid, so make sure you be careful and have a second hand if you need one. After you've fastened down the fasteners properly, then proceed to your foam tape. Now this is certainly an item you don't want to forget, because this will heavily reduce rattling and vibration when you actually attach your filter to your Dust motor. Now come on, let's be honest, this thing's going to be loud enough. We don't need it any louder at this point. Now after I have the tape placed, I then grab my bracket and fasten the bracket properly. Now to be honest, I did try and do this the first time, where I was actually fastening it onto the filter first and then tried to install it, but it was very cumbersome at that point, so I just figured install it onto the dust collection system first and then add the filtration unit afterwards. Now at this point I did have a second helping hand, which definitely made things a little bit easier, because this filter is not heavy, but it is large and in charge. So see if a friend, or in my case a dad, help you out with making sure it's properly placed. At this point I add a layer of foam to the bottom rung of the filtration unit, then fit the plastic dust bag in place. While keeping it steady, I then add the clamp to secure it so it's not going anywhere. At this point, who's ready for Christmas and summer, or maybe just kid in a candy shop? Because this is definitely going to be my candy shop. Now look at all of these fun, amazing accessories that go with the Dust collection system. We have all the necessary hoses, we have hose connectors, we have a floor mount, we have a lathe dust collection system, because I just got a lathe. I also have a tremendous amount of other different types of connectors, shut-off connectors, and so forth. But that's a lot of stuff, and I cannot wait to put this whole thing together now. So let's do this. Now this is our floor mount dust collection system. The nice thing about this is the fact that I do a lot of sweeping in this shop, and inevitably I have to use a dustpan. This takes care of that, because I just kind of sweep it directly into this and it just sucks it right up. Also, I attach this guy to it. I can actually direct the suction to this directly, or if I want it for the entire rest of the system, shut it off. Done deal. That's what I like. Now the hose that I'm using to connect this entire system together is this compressed hose system. Now this is the 4-inch diameter hose which connects perfectly into our dust stops. Now the dust stop is there because we want to turn sections of the unit off when we're not using them, and we want to direct more suction traffic to one specific tool versus others. Now as for the silver rings, those are hose clamps that makes it very easy to assemble the entire system together. They're very adjustable and you're able to really position them exactly where you want them after you have the hose fitted and you can clamp the ring down properly. Now the hose itself is very easy to cut because it's just plain old plastic that you can cut with a razor blade. However, there is a reinforced steel rim all along the entire hose. Now that gives it extreme durability and strength while still allowing you to coil this entire hose in a very compact position. Now this hose is 28 feet long if stretched out fully, but it comes in a 4-foot box. That is quite impressive and gives you ample material to work with when putting a whole system like this together. Now after we have our T hose connected to our stable gates, we can now install the entire system onto the dust right motor properly. Now I first attach the T gate that goes to the dust right directly, and then attach the swing handle to the air filter. Now this basically just knocks all the dust and debris that's attached to your filter without you having to personally go up there and try and remove it yourself. Very nice. At this point, I attach the second T-gate above the other T-gate. Now, I am actually just screwing the stable gates into the OSB that I placed there earlier. I planned this just because I knew that it'd be a perfect way to fasten the system to a wall that I know for sure will be stable and will properly support the weight of the hoses as well as the gates. Now through this whole garage makeover series, I really wanted to emphasize the professionalism of the channel, which is why I'm trying to clean up the look of this entire garage. That's why I placed the overhead hose between the joists and then installed this radiant barrier. Now I actually showcased this on my last project for the garage door openers, but as you can see, it makes a much cleaner look of your ceiling versus your old ratty insulation, right? Now in the middle of my garage I have a very large mobile workbench, and with this workbench I do a lot of slab planing, which inevitably kicks up a lot of dust and debris. That's why I want this hose connection system to be fully accessible in the middle of my shop without having to walk and trip around hoses, which is why I have it overhead versus something that I have to drag on the ground over to my workbench. Now with this system, there are generally two sizes of hoses. There's a 4-inch hose as well as a 2.5-inch hose. Now the 2.5-inch hose works perfectly for devices like a table saw or chop saw. As for this crazy looking contraption, this is a 3-way collection junction. Junction, what's your function? Anyways, now I've attached adapters and reducers, which basically brings each junction from a 4-inch hose to a 2.5-inch hose.
Now these guys are really nice because they spin, which means that they won't get tangled, so when you do connect it into the system, it can spin any way you want and it won't get tangled up, which is pretty sweet.
I then mount my 3-way junction to my T junction, as well as give it a little extra support with just some J-hooks. At this point in time, I then just take my smaller hoses and connect them to my 2.5-inch adapters. Now with the hoses, I'm able to basically maneuver them any way I want. Now one is going to be going to my chop saw, another one's going to be going to my table saw, and the third one is going to be going to my oscillating spindle sander. This is a third type of hose system that we're using, which is also a dust right system, but it's a Flexi Port Power Tool hose kit. Now it's because we have multiple connections based upon the size required for the tool that we're plugging it into, but that's why it's so nice because it's so versatile. You're still able to cut it like the other hoses, but because it comes with different interior diameters, you can connect it to multiple different types of tools, just like a router. Lastly, we have to connect our floor sweep. The nice thing about this is that all I had to do was take some 3M double-sided sticky tape, apply a layer to both sides, go ahead and place it on the ground, put a little pressure on it, and guess what? We are done. entire system fully installed. And let's do a fun little walkthrough. So we have the 3-prong connector right here. One is going to my oscillating spindle sander. The other one is going to my chop saw, and the third one is an option one, which is going to my table saw at the moment. Now, the nice thing also is that we have these dust stops, so if I want to actually sweep up, I can turn this guy on and off. I also have this overhead one right here, if I want to turn it on, and goes to my table station where I do my large slab planes. That one is connected to right here. And I can also turn this guy on, and that one will take me all the way from there to my lathe. Yes, now that is not fully installed yet, and I do need to work on that, but we will eventually be connecting our lathe dust collection system. But now that it's all connected, let's test it out. This project was a long time coming and something that I've been wanting in my shop for years. And in all honesty, I did work with Rockler on this project, and they did not pay me for this project, but they certainly provided quite a few of these materials. So I greatly appreciate all of their support. And as always, I will leave links in the description box below on where to purchase any of the products or tools seen on this channel. As you can see, the versatility of this system is incredibly vast, and if you have an idea for your shop, this system can fit it because no matter what, it can always work around those unique corners of any shop. I just feel like a grown-up these days just because I'm actually excited for something that cleans versus something that cuts, and that's pretty unique in my book. And something with this much suction, I can always say, is one beautiful, sexy beast. Oh yeah.
How's my hair? Good?